man. The day when she wins the world champ, when she wins the world title, is the day that my soul leaves my body. I can be at rest.
Yo, I just remember like maybe 2017 or 18, my buddy sent me a text and he was like, "Yo, it's a new one at the Performance Center." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "A black goddess that's about to start wrestling." I'm like, "Who?" And he shows me the picture. I'm like, "Oh my." But to see her on TV now is great. Black wrestling draws Jade Cargill versus legit Layla Hirsch.
It's gonna be good.
Yes.
Layla's my people, and she going up. She just had Camille, but black wrestling draws. Everybody asks about it. J Rose, we live right now, baby.
I love Twitter.
So give us the origin story.
Okay, so the origins of black wrestling draws. I'm going to word this carefully because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I've been the way that I got into Twitter, like how I first made my connections outside of Indiana, is I have been a part of wrestling Twitter since 2014, and for the past, I grew up on wrestling Twitter, and you know what? It shows. I For the past like 3, maybe 4 years, I've heard the same conversation comes around all the time. Why aren't they using black wrestlers? They need to use black wrestlers. And every couple months, we start complaining. We say that things need to change. And then we stop complaining. And then we get mad again. And nothing ever changes. And there have been select few movements in order to get stuff moving. Another movement that I can actually take entire credit for was the IWTV Black Lives Matter mixtape, which trended #1 last year.
Hey,
so then everybody.
Let me before you continue.
Yes.
I saw this thing and I didn't know who did it, but it opened up showing downtown the march that we had downtown Indianapolis that I was at, and then going into the buildings, and I was like, who in the blue hell did this, and why didn't I know nothing about this wrestling going on with this whole video? Like, kudos to you for doing that, because
I can't take all credit for it because the footage, I put it together. I will say that.
Okay.
The footage of the march is taken from formerly known as Swerve Video, now known as Jeremy Tapes. He works for AEW. That's my guy. Thank you so much for letting me use the footage. But he was like, use this for whatever you want, because I know that you're going to use this for a vision, because he's a white dude. But he said you can use this. Your scope for this is going to be greater than whatever purpose I have for it. So you go ahead and use that. Anyways, I digress. Thank you for I'm very proud of that. That's something I'm very proud of. But
yeah, well, just to piggyback a little bit, and we'll go off but again, like I loved that whole production of it, and when I say I legitimately cried after it, I did, because it was just such an compensation of so many people that look like us, but it was like all different. So you have people like Trevor Aeon, which people are like, who is this dude? And then you swerved over to someone like Billy Dixon. And then you showed the match between Shador, and it was just so many, just so like, look at it. We're all different. We're all offering something. So again,
right, and like that was the whole point of this. Like, we stopped doing this because I ran out of money and I couldn't afford to keep doing it. But I used to, like, for every show for like a couple of months, I would bring just a bunch of yellow bandanas. I would give it out to every black wrestler I saw. And it was specifically yellow for 2 reasons. One, that was Breonna Taylor's favorite color. 2, it's one of the most loud, visible colors, especially against dark skin. And I wanted to be like, we are all not the same. We all share common experiences, but we are all individually different. And everyone was supposed to wear bandanas a slightly different way. Because even though we may look the same in some regards, and we may share experiences, we're all different. We are not each other. We are each individually our own separate person. I stopped doing it because I ran out of money to keep doing the bandanas. But
we gonna bring it back though. We gonna
start funding.
If somebody wants to fund the bandanas, I will bring it back because I've been thinking about it. I will bring them back.
I got a bandana.
Let us know when you want to start doing it, and we'll send you some bandanas.
I have a West Coast trip coming up, and I will fill my suitcase with bandanas if that's what we're trying to do. Regardless, back to the hashtag. So every couple of months or so, people get mad, whether in any marginalized groups, whether it be like the mishandling of Mustafa Ali, whether it be black talent not being used, whether it be the semi-exploitation of queer wrestlers. Every couple of months, it's something. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And no one. Not saying no one would do anything, but the effort was never sustained enough to continue the movement. And there was a space, I want to say either last Monday or the Monday before that, and they were like, what should we do as far as it goes with black wrestling? And people were like, well, you just need to stop watching WWE. And I'm like, no, that's not the answer. And somebody was like, well, we need to just create our own stuff. I was like, okay, now you're getting on the same page. And they were like, we need to find funding so we can create a new project. I'm like, no. There's projects that already exist that that showcase and highlight and uplift the black talent. There's promotions run by black people. And I'm not saying it to not create your own thing, but to act like they're not out there is asinine. Also, this stemmed from the fact that Big Swole's match with Diamante wasn't on TV, but people weren't watching Dark to begin with. They didn't know the whole feud was happening because they weren't watching Dark, which may speak more to the people who are in charge and promoting and booking it. But if you're not watching what's already out there with black talent, what gives you the right to complain when you're not supporting what's already out there? If you're not watching Butch versus Gore, why are you complaining about GCW? Because there's already someone giving what you want, and we should be expecting this across the board. But how are you going to complain against somebody else who's trying actively to do what you want to do, and it's not enough for you, but you don't support what's already out there? And not to say it like I cracked, but I cracked. I was like, I can't sit through this again. I refuse to sit through this again without any sort of sustained action. So I created a group chat with a bunch of other influential people in black wrestling. And I'm going to try and create a Discord soon so we can try and organize our thoughts a little more streamlined. And so everyone can be involved. But I was like, we're going to do a watch along of this Dark thing. And if we get something trending alongside Dark, they will have no choice but to acknowledge, in theory, what all is going on with this. We just need something that's going to catch somebody's eye or their ear. Strike somebody's fancy, so to speak. And Lovely Laveau came up with hashtag Black Wrestling Draws. And I was like, that's marketable? I can run with it. And almost every single day since then, I've sat my black behind at my laptop and created a graphic from scratch, trying to create these watch parties for these shows. And like, I thought it would be like black indie wrestling contained thing. Cause you know, I have like almost 5,000 followers, but my scope isn't that large. But the response and uptick in use over the past week has been crazy. Literally insane to me. Because, like, there's outside of Swole, no one really has touched the hashtag. It's been untouched by anybody with any sort of real following. This has all been organic and grassroots, and that's cool as hell to me because that means it's working. And I don't know what the end goal of this is, because eventually, for better or for worse, I'm gonna stop making those graphics. Like, I can't. I'm going to be busy one day, and that's just gonna stop. But the mission doesn't end because we get it trending once or twice or 3 times. The mission is to continue to uplift these projects. And I'm very sad that Butch versus Gore ended, but when Butch versus Gore comes around, Black wrestling draws. When Paradigm runs their anniversary show and it has Suge and Myron in the main event, Black wrestling draws. When AJ goes out to West Coast Pro and he wins the West Coast Pro title, Black wrestling draws. Because if you put money and viewership behind your energy, that's tangible. Just complaining about it puts nothing tangible behind it. And you're just complaining into a void, bound to repeat the process over and over again. This also very selfishly gives me, if this peters out and dies, this gives me a reason. If we start complaining about this again, I can point back and be like, what happened with this? Because we had this with momentum and it died. So why are you complaining again when we already had the system in place to improve it and you simply didn't do anything about it? That's the thinking behind Black Wrestling Draws. And now I just got off the phone with Lovely earlier, like right before I hopped on to here so we could do this interview. And we're going to start coming up with some cool stuff as far as it goes with Black Wrestling Draws. Hopefully. I may fuck it up. I may misspell Black Wrestling Draws one day on a graphic and then everybody laughs at me and then it dies. But hopefully we got some cool stuff coming along. More watch parties, schedule, that sort of thing, and try and connect more pieces of at least the Black wrestling experience as we can latch on to and uplift the people. Because, and to steal a phrase from my good friend Chris, who runs Tiger Driver, I know he hates him being described like that, but that's how people know you, brother. Still a good phrase from Chris. Wrestling is for niggas. Black people love wrestling. Mm-hmm. We really do. It's just that eventually one of two things happen. We learn that it's fake, predetermined, and that there's nothing you can do about that. Or we get showed that our reflection that we see on the screen really ain't worth shit. And it lacks the investment to continue and have people keep watching. But Black people love wrestling. They really do. I have people who stopped watching when they were a kid come to some of the shows that I was on. It's like, this was incredible. And now they go to every show. I have people who had never seen wrestling before, and they just saw two beefy people hitting each other in person. They were like, this is amazing. Wrestling is for niggas. It's just a matter of bringing the wrestling to niggas. And there's no better way to get it there than seeing somebody who looks like you.
Facts. Yeah. All right. We just wanted to put out the Black Wrestling Draws to the Twitterverse. You can catch this full spotlight with J Rose this Friday. Just two Indianapolis people with somebody who getting it in Ohio, you know what I'm saying? But look out for this Friday on the YouTube and Twitter. We are out. Black Wrestling Draws. Tune in for Jade Cargill and
AEW starting up in 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Shouts out to Rosie and Jamal. 3 minutes. Go and tune in. I'm gonna still be in the interview, but y'all got it. Go look at my Twitter account. You can find the graphic there. Go and repost the graphic. Just take it. It's okay. It's okay. Steal from me. It's ours. Camaraderie. Not to be on my socialist type beat, but it's our graphic. Go ahead, take that graphic, post it on your own account, send it to a couple of friends. They post that graphic, you know what I'm saying? Then we can get it trending again. And maybe we get Jade Cargill a title shot. You know, I would like that just personally because I'm a Jade Cargill stan. But, neither here nor there.
Hey, Jade, well, let me not get in that. All right, hey, so.
God took his time. That's all you got to say.
Peace, Twitter.
Yeah. Peace. YouTube, you're done too.